What is going on, guys? It is your host of the Locked On Wizards podcast, Delonte Daniels and Ed Oliver. On today's show, we're going to get some of my thoughts about the 76ers Wizards game and a little bit more of Ed's thoughts, and also a lot of trade talk. Possibly the Wizards being the front runners for Jerami Grant. Also, Montrezl Harrell possibly on the move. We'll talk about that and more.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is going on, guys? It is your boys, Delonte Daniels and Ed Oliver, back at you guys with another Locked On Wizards podcast episode. Now, before we get into all the trade stuff, this 76ers game, the Wizards look like, I think, they put out a really good performance. I said in my bold prediction, I said the Wizards will hold the 76ers to under, 47%, like that. They held them to 40%, man. 26% from the three was really good. I mean, they held them to 98 points, and that's how you consistently win games. And I've said over and over again, the Wizards have had high-scoring games, shootout games all the time. I mean, you can't consistently win games like that. But if you're giving up 98 points, you can win a lot of games. That's good defense right there. And Embiid dropped 30+, which we all know he would do. So we don't care about that. Tyrese Maxey had 18, but he's the only other 76er to be in double digits. And that's how you do it. Some guys that you just can't really stop. You let them do their thing, but the key is to not let the Tobias Harrises, the Seth Currys go off and kill you. You know, the Cork Mazes of the world to kill you. You can't allow them to do that. And the Wizards did a great job of containing them. Tobias only had 7. Curry only had 8. Cork Maz only had 6. I mean, Georges and Yang only had 7 off the bench. They did a great job, man. I think the Wizards did a really good job. I was very impressed. Obviously, you had Kyle Kuzma, the dunk, blew up Twitter. Everybody was going crazy off that challenging Embiid, slamming him right on him. I was highly impressed, and I know you had a reaction right after the game, but I want to know if you were just impressed as me.
Oh, most certainly. I love that Kuzma dunk. I didn't watch SportsCenter today. I haven't watched SportsCenter in a long time, to be honest, but I'm hoping it was the number one dunk on SportsCenter. It was just a good all-around game from start to finish. I thought that was our best defensive effort in a long time. It looked like the Wizards from the 10-3 start. Finally having a healthy team after 44 games. It was refreshing. It looked good. Thomas Bryant coming in, bringing in energy. He just showed what having a stretch 5 does for a team, because we're just an awful 3-point shooting team. So just to have a threat, he hit 1 3. He went like 1 for 3 from the 3-point line. But just having the threat of making Joel Embiid step out there, making Andre Drummond step out there, giving more spacing to the floor, it just made the Wizards a lot better off, more of a threat offensively. Bradley Beal, we had 7 guys in double figures. Bradley Beal played well. I thought he facilitated the ball well as well. He didn't have to put up 30 points. This is the reason why we have so much depth. Corey Kispert gave good minutes off the bench. Trezz his energy was unmatched off the bench. And Kyle Kuzma, the dunk on Joel Embiid, I loved it. That's what we need. And we got some trade rumors we're going to talk about, in a couple minutes. But the points in the paint were the tell of the tape, and we rebound the ball. And you got your bold prediction correct on them under 48%. I got mine correct. I said Joel Embiid was not going to have a double-double. And he didn't have a double-double. And I thought we double-teamed at the right time. Yeah. Every time we put the ball on the floor. And unfortunately, Gafford had foul trouble. But, having those 3 bigs really, really helped. And KCP shot the ball pretty well as well. Some guys didn't play, but we talked about, some guys' minutes are going to have to get cut. But I thought and shout out to Joseph Blair as well, being the interim coach for 1 game. He's a former Harlem Globetrotter. So I thought it was a great all-around game from the Washington Wizards from top to bottom.
Yeah, and I just wanted to talk about this because obviously some of the biggest news was Denny Avdia getting, I mean, practically a DMP. He got in at garbage time, when the 76ers raised the white flag. That's when he got in. I mean, I don't know. If this, like I said, I tweeted this too. If Wizards players were stocks, Daniel Gafford and Deni Avdija is going down right now. They're going down right now. Daniel Gafford only had 8 minutes played. I believe in the last game, didn't he only play like 11 minutes? I mean, his minutes are dropping. He's starting currently. I don't know. But his minutes are dropping. You're starting and only playing 8 minutes, and a lot of that is just playing Joel Embiid and being in foul trouble, etc., things like that. And also Montrezl Harrell and Thomas Bryant coming off of the bench. Deni Avdija, I was a little surprised. I was definitely surprised. Not a little. I was really surprised that, he got practically a DMP, because I understand Corey Kisper's been playing well. I said you got to find a way to give him minutes, and the Wizards did. He played 30 minutes, and he had a really good game. So I don't have any issue with Corey Kispert playing. I was a little surprised that Raul Neto got 23 minutes and Deni got 3, practically 0. That was the big shocker to me. I don't think that Deni should be losing minutes to Neto, me personally. Even with Deni struggling offensively, I still think you can find a way for him to be out there on the court, and that kind of ties into the trade rumor stuff that we're going to talk about in a little bit. When you see a guy go from playing spot starting and then no playing time at all with the trade deadline roaming, and, you talk about condensing the roster and flipping some stuff around, you got to start asking that question. So that was interesting to me. What was your thoughts on the Deni situation, Ed?
Yeah, if you look at the comment section from our last YouTube video, of course, people watching from Israel are happy right now. The game was at 2:00 and it's like 9:00 over there or something like that. So they're saying this is the best time for them to watch Deni during the day, and he didn't play. But that's what's going to happen. We have a deep roster, and there's going to be some guys who aren't happy. I said yesterday, there's going to be some games where Montrezl was the third big off the bench, and he said he wanted to do that before the game. But there's going to be some games where Gafford's not playing a lot. There's going to be some games where, Rui might not play a lot because Kuzma's playing so well, and other guys are playing well. Corey Kisper's shooting the ball. There's going to be some games where Corey Kisper's not going to be getting a lot of minutes. So it's just tough when you have so many veterans. That's why we keep bringing up the consolidation trade, so we can just kind of cut down on minutes and define roles. It would be easier for guys to get in rhythm. It's hard, even Rui had his best game, but he still didn't really get in rhythm out there because he's only playing 16 minutes. Same thing with Thomas Bryant too. So, nobody's really getting big minutes except for Brad and Dinwiddie and KCP, Kuzma, the starters right now. So every game is different. It's different with matchups. So I wouldn't panic with Deni right now, but it is kind of tough. It's just hard. It's so hard to develop and win games at the same time. It really is, especially when you have so many veterans. And that's the hard thing with Deni right now. With Rui coming back and TB coming back, it just makes things harder on development.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Like you said, to guys to just be playing 15 minutes here, 11 minutes there, and then the next game they play 20, 23 minutes, but the next game they may go back down to 12 minutes. And it's hard to get a rhythm. It's hard to find a rhythm when you're getting inconsistent minutes. It's really going to be tough. Like similar with Gafford, he played 11 minutes the game before, 8 minutes this game, and then the next game he can play really good and have 23 minutes or 25 minutes, because it was a span where when Montrezl was on the COVID protocols list and Gafford was getting like 28 minutes, 30 minutes. Now he's dropping down to 15, 12 minutes, 11 minutes, 8 minutes. And I just think it's hard for players to find a really good, solid rhythm when your minutes can fluctuate at any time, depending on the situation. And there's not a set, I know I'm going to get this amount of time. I know. And like you say, even with TB and Rui coming back and working back, I seen some people on Twitter talk about maybe letting them get some run with the G League squad, with the Go-Go, so they can get high minutes, and really find their rhythm. But I understand, obviously, they're needed on the Wizards. So that was how I thought about it and felt about it. But it is hard to kind of catch that rhythm, getting 11 minutes and 12 minutes here and there, and just the minutes situation fluctuating, especially for a young guy like Denny, specifically Denny. That could be tough on him. I definitely do think that.
Definitely, yeah. We need TB to play and Rui to play immediately. So
Yeah.
it's tough, and we'll definitely get into this Trezz news right now.
Yep, we definitely will, guys. But before we do that, we do have a message from our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks has the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. PrizePicks offers more than NBA props than any other DFS prop operator and offers all the superstar players as well as bench players, only recording a handful of minutes each game. PrizePicks offers any prop you can think of, from points, assists, rebounds, threes made, etc. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over/under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry. It's just you versus the projected number. I recently placed a flex play entry with an over on Kyle Kuzma rebounds and Bradley Beal over important points and double my money. It took me all of 30 seconds to make my selections. It's that easy, folks. PrizePicks also allows mixed sports entries. For example, you can take the over on Embiid combined with the under on Rodgers in the same entry. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. PrizePicks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. Guys, also I want to thank you once again for making Locked On Wizards your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Now for your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. Listen to Locked On Now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch it on the Locked On NBA YouTube channel. So, Ed, as you know, there was some trade news today about the Wizards, Jerami Grant, and then Montrezl Harrell. What was your thoughts, firstly? Because we kind of were speculating on the Jerami Grant. We kind of was thinking about, like, the Wizards had to pick a center. It seems like Montrezl Harrell may be that guy. What was your thoughts when you seen that tweet come out?
I hate to see it, but I understand the move because he has an expiring contract, $9.7 million. He will be a free agent this whole season. Tommy Shepard will have to make a decision on, Trezz or Thomas Bryant. Gafford is we extended Gafford, so he's not eligible to be traded before the trade deadline. So of course, Gafford's out of it. He just can't be traded. So you have to pick between one or the other, or he could keep all three if he really wanted to. He did have a 3 center rotation, so it's not. I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy does decide to keep Trezz. But looking at the rotation and like we kind of talked about the log jam and people just not being able to get comfortable and get their minutes, and they're looking over their shoulder like if I make a mistake then I got to sit kind of thing. I don't want to see Trezz go, but like I said, I understand the move because he's the toughest player on the team. He just is. He plays the hardest. He's our vocal leader. He was our. We don't start off. We don't have 10 wins in the 10-3 start without Trezz. We just got to be honest here. His numbers did go down. Of course, he was top 10 in the MVP ladder. We kind of saw it wasn't sustainable. It went down, but it makes sense. A lot of people are bringing up the Memphis Grizzlies. They have 3 first-round picks, but do they really want to give up one of their first-round picks for Montrezl Harrell? If I'm the Grizzlies, I'm not really trying to give up a first-rounder for Montrezl, if I'm being honest. And I'm kind of being, kind of a picky GM, but I'm not really pressed to give up a first-round pick for Montrezl Harrell if I'm the Grizzlies. But I found an article on Bleacher Report. It says at the bottom, it's all about Jerami Grant, and it says Montrezl Harrell's expiring $9.7 million contract can help make the salaries match to get Jerami Grant to DC, and Montrezl Harrell has been considered available for a trade according to league sources.
I think if you can finesse your way to a first rounder, getting a first round for Montrezl, I definitely think you do the deal.
Right.
If you're talking about just second round picks and you can't package Montrezl like in a pick to get a bigger guy or like a Grant, which we got to talk about the contract stuff too, because I think that's turning a lot of people off, is the fact of the money he's asking for. And then the report of him saying he wants to have a big offensive role, etc., which throws people off as well. I think Montrezl, if he's a package to get a bigger player, I understand. Or if you can get a first, potentially, I understand. But if it's like a second round pick, if you're just talking about a second round pick, then no, I think you keep him because he's definitely very important. He's one of the fan favorites of the team. Kuzma definitely has gotten up there with him. He was important, like you said, that 10-3 start. He was one of the main key cogs. I would hate to see him go. He has his struggles. Definitely has his issues in the playing style defensively, etc. But he helps with this team in so many different ways with his energy, vocal leadership, etc. So I'm not jumping for joy to try to get rid of him. I think Trezz is a very important piece, to the team. But he isn't expiring, and you do kind of have a log jam at center, etc. Maybe you want to get you want a third center with some size who doesn't really care about having the ball that much or getting shots up that much, etc. Just a third guy on the bench to have. So I will understand that. Jerami Grant, I wouldn't mind it. I seen Oz on Twitter. He works at Bullets Forever. He was proposing a trade in the trade machine. He said Bertans, Avdia, and a first round pick. I wouldn't mind that. I think that's cool. Personally, I do think that would be fine with me. Do you think that's cool? How would you feel about that? Bertans at first and Denny.
That's probably a perfect trade, to be honest with you. And I think Denny supporters were like it as well because he would get the opportunity to play and get minutes. The Pistons are a young team. Other than Cade Cunningham and Sadiq Bey, those are the only guys I really see getting more playing time than Denny. I mean, Killian Hayes, I don't see him getting Josh Jackson, guys like that on the Pistons. They don't really have guys that deserve more minutes than Denny on that roster. So I think it would be good for both sides. I just don't see Denny getting the opportunity to develop like he should on the Wizards, unless we got to see how these next couple of games go. But getting rid of Bertans, that's just I think everybody would be happy about that. Getting rid of that $16 million for him. And like you brought up earlier, the concern is Jerami is eligible for a 4-year, $112 million extension. That's a good amount of money for a guy who hasn't made an All-Star or hasn't been considered as an All-Star at all. I mean, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but yeah, that's a good amount of money right there. $30 million per year for him, or almost 30 mil. That's pretty steep in my opinion. He's a good player, but yeah, I don't know if I'm willing to pay that. To be honest with you, and but yeah, I would do that trade. I wouldn't mind it. You don't have to give up Rui. You don't give up Kuz. Maybe you do try to get a Sabonis later on. You'll see. And you didn't give up Trezz, so you keep Trezz too. So that's a pretty good trade. But maybe you would package up Trezz and somebody else to get a Sabonis, and then your starting five would be Brad, Spencer, Jerami, Rui. If you get Sabonis, you're gonna have to give up Rui and Kuz. I'm just looking far ahead into the future. If you want, Sabonis and Jerami Grant, and that would make Bradley Beal happy because Tommy Shepard obviously is trying to make Bradley Beal stay. So what do you have to do to make Bradley Beal stay? You're gonna have to get him. You're gonna have to get Jerami Grant because he's buddies with Jerami Grant. And Jerami Grant's a good player. Don't get me wrong. And then Sabonis, you would have an all-star. So that would make Bradley Beal happy and it would make him want to stay. That's I'm not saying that's what we want to do, but that's what Tommy Shepard is looking to do.
Yeah, Grant definitely has a couple things going for him. Local guy. Wes Unseld's familiar with him. They have connection. He's played with Wes Unseld Jr. on the coaching staff in Denver. I mean, I definitely can see the Wizards making that move and he being their number one guy and their number one option right now. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, man. I really wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I do think so too. I think so as well. People may not agree with the money aspect, and I completely understand that. But the Wizards are looking to win, and I feel like they feel like Jerami Grant is their most realistic option. I feel like they think he may possibly even be the best option. So, we'll see. I definitely, if the trade goes down, how do you think he improves the team? How far do you think he improves the team? Now we know we're not any championship contender or whatnot with them.
Right.
But
Yeah.
do you think he helps improve the defense enough, or can help contribute offensively enough to bump them up too? Because the seeding is close right now in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
You know, it's really close. Do you think they can bump them up to competing for that 5-4 seed? Because it's all right there. It's really all right there right now.
I think he does help. And like you said, the local ties, of course, he's from the DMV, went to high school here, all that good stuff. His dad played for the Wizards, Jerami Grant. So we know the story about that too.
Mm-hmm.
We are currently in the 8th seed right now. We're very close to this. We're 1 game out of the 7th seed and 2.5 games out of the 6th seed. So Jerami, he would help us out. I really don't want to give up Kuz. I just don't. But I said, if we get Sabonis, then that would you have to give him Kuz. But Jeremy's a good defender. He played with Wes Unseld Jr., like you said earlier. Great 3-and-D guy. He hasn't really been efficient this year, and he does have a wrist injury as well. So when is he going to be back from the injury? With the Pistons, he was more of an ISO ball guy, so he wasn't very efficient this year. I want to say he shot. I'm gonna look it up real quick. His 3-point percentage, because we just been awful from the 3-point line. So but he can shoot, and he would be a good defender. That is true. He would be a great 3-and-D guy for the Washington Wizards. So he would make us better. Does he move the needle? To be honest, no. But if the bigger plan is to bring it, he's shooting 33% from the 3. Career high was 38% from the 3. So he's been a solid, not great from the 3, but he's been solid. If the major plan is to bring, because if he brings in Jerami, I don't think Tommy's done yet. That's why I keep bringing up Sabonis. But if it's just Jerami and you stop and you stand pat and that's it, I don't see the point of making that move to bring Jerami Grant in, especially if he wants 4 years, $112 million. I wouldn't do it if that's just the major move and you stop right there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I would be surprised if they made a move for like another big move like Sabonis or something like that, because that's just not the Wizards' forte. High turnover on the roster, and I don't think Tommy really wants to have high turnover. He's okay. I feel like he's okay with making a move like a Grant, but a Grant and a Sabonis, and then just flipping the roster, and it's a lot of different pieces now. I just can't see the Wizards doing something like that. That's not a Washington Wizards type of thing to do. Now I understand it, like that's from a fan aspect, is like that gives you a really good shot. But just thinking about the Wizards and their history and what they do, the biggest trade they've done recently is Russ, and that was just a Russ for John 1-for-1 pretty much, and gave the Rockets a 1st-round pick as well. But other than that, it's just been Gortat, Markieff, Bogdanovich, just slight stuff.
Yeah,
so
Bobby Portis, Jabari Parker, and
just slighter moves. So I think of course you have the Rush trade to Lakers that brought in KCP, Harrell, and things like that. So I think Grant is the move. I'd be surprised if they made like a big secondary move after that. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe like a smaller move after that. But I think Grant is just the pick right there. I think that would be the move.
Yeah, I think the sleepers. Some people are starting to say Harrison Barnes, Eric Gordon, Terrence Ross, guys like that. You could try to bring some guys in like that. They don't really move the needle like that either, but they would help with the 3-point shooting for sure. So. But I like Jerami Grant, but we'll see. I think it will happen just because of the DC ties. I think Tommy, he loves the DC ties. Bringing Wes Unseld Jr. He kind of loves that thing. So I think it is going to happen. But we're going to get to this Nets preview. We do play tomorrow night. Kevin Durant will not be playing, so we do get a little bit of a break there. Before we do get to the preview, this episode is brought to you by Built Bar. My favorite flavor is cookies and cream. I usually put it in the fridge or in the microwave to give it a little bit more flavor. It's the new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good. You'll want to eat it, unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky or waxy or taste like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring. By like week 3, you might be thinking this is just not worth it. Where's the chocolate? Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Even if you're not a huge fan of working out, you can at least eat something that tastes good and is good for you. The way when you enjoy a delicious Built Bar, you can almost count it as a workout. And there's so many flavors to choose from: coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, salted caramel, mint brownie, and many more. In fact, Built is always coming out with new limited time flavors. So check out Built.com often to see what's new. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, so D, what's your keys to victory against the Brooklyn Nets tomorrow night?
I would say the keys to victory against the Brooklyn Nets, because Kyrie Irving will be playing, James Harden will be playing. Man, I think keeping turnovers down. Keeping turnovers down. I always say that with the Wizards, keeping the turnovers down. But also, I think a key is protecting the paint, obviously, but they don't have that big of a, paint presence, but James Harden and Kyrie can get to the basket. And I would say keeping the fouls down. Those would be my two main things right there: turnovers and keeping the fouls down. You don't want James Harden going to the free throw line 14 times, which has had issues in the past with allowing high free throw attempts to guys like DeRozan, guys like Jimmy Butler. Keep the fouling down. Try your best to do that, because James Harden and Kyrie are going to try to get to that free throw line. Are going to try to get to the basket. So I would say keep the turnovers low, protect the paint, and keep the fouling to a minimum.
Definitely. Yeah, Kyrie's going to be a tough guard. It's going to be tough to guard him without fouling. Same thing with James Harden. There are the new rules, but James Harden still gets to the free throw line a lot. He started to learn how to play with the new rules. It was a struggle for him at first. They did just lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is another good team on the road. Kyrie's a tough guard. James Harden. They just don't have much of a bench. Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, they're all older guys, longtime veterans. So I think this would be a better game for Gafford not to get in foul trouble, because we're not playing against one of those, big guys like an Embiid or Nurkic. So I'm really looking at Daniel Gafford this game, because if he gets in foul trouble again against somebody like a Dayon Sharp, who's a rookie, then I don't Gafford. He just has to look in the mirror and just work on that really badly, because this is a game where I think he should definitely improve. Defend without fouling, of course, win the rebound battle. Let's move the ball like we did against the Sixers. Let's try to push the pace, get in transition, push the pedal on these guys, take advantage of Kevin Durant not being there, and defending the 3-point line, and once again moving the ball inside out. Want to see some pick and roll and pick and pop with Thomas Bryant. I think Thomas Bryant should be able to dominate this game. Same thing with Trezz. I'm looking at the big guys as well, and Rui too. I think Rui should have a good game as well, and Bradley Beal as well. My bold prediction really, I'm gonna say we get 7 guys in double figures again. If we just move the ball, rebound the ball, and play unselfishly, and make the extra pass, I think we should win this game.
Was that your bold prediction too? You said
7 guys in double figures.
7 guys in double figures. Okay, so that's the bold prediction from you. I say Spencer Dinwiddie has 20 points, 10 assists. I think he facilitates the ball, and I think he gets a little aggressive with the scoring in this game. I see that. Now that'll be tough to do, the 20-point mark, especially because we know he doesn't really have that aggressive scoring mindset with everybody healthy. But I would say revenge game against former team. I would say 20-10 for him. 20-10.
And Patty Mills, we cannot let him get hot, because Patty Mills usually torches the Washington Wizards. He can light it up from the 3-point line.
100%. Well, guys, that is all we have for you today. I want to thank you once again for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Well, guys, Hopefully, after the next game, we'll be coming at you with a dub like Ed did after the 76ers game.
Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification bell. Hail to the Wizards. Peace.
Peace.